Okay, do you see that? It's water in a garden over there. It's just one more piece of the world's insanity. I mean, the river's right there. But we don't control the resources, so you have to buy the water and put in your own garden. But you got an entire river there that's over 1,000 miles long, you know? It goes all the way from Pittsburgh all the way to New Orleans. But you got to buy the water from somebody when you're that close to it. You know, you can build a pump with no working parts that could pump water straight to your house, but you'd probably get a fine or something for stealing resources from the government or something. You know, I mean, that's the sort of insanity that the world lives in right now. And imagine if you're an INTJ for a second. Okay, I understand we're like 1% of the population. I think it's less, really. I think half of the ones that say they're INTJ really aren't, but notwithstanding, let's just say it's 1%. Now, imagine if you go through life and every single thing that everybody says, I don't care what they say. I don't care who they are. I don't care what they're talking about. Try to picture it from my perspective for a second. Every single thing that is said around you is crazy. Everything that is said is illogical. Isn't that a pretty house? Every single thing that somebody says is just missing fundamental pieces, and you see it. Every person you talk to, you see that they're missing something. And it's not that we think that we ourselves have no problems, flaws, anything we should try to attain to. It's that we've hyper-analyzed ourselves to the point that we can't find anybody else who can do it better. And so we never hear anybody say that what we really need to hear that we haven't already thought of. Rarely. It does happen. You know, it's how you improve, but most of our improvement is internalized. We have to really think things out for ourselves. All right, we have to really seek the answers. It's going to sound condescending to people because we live in this eggshell society where everybody has to walk on eggshells, but we don't. We're INTJs. We don't walk on eggshells. We don't try to nuance our conversation in any way, shape, or form. I love the little fountain. You know, little things like that. We appreciate art and stuff like that in somebody's yard, but we don't try to beat around the bush. We just tell you. And so we live in a world where everybody's crazy, where everybody does that. Every single person you talk to is just not telling what they really think about anything. Even the people who always say, well, I'm not afraid to say how it is. Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. You know, how do I know this? Because if I say anything to you, to that person, they're offended immediately. Everyone's offended all the time. Even the people who say that liberals are always offended all the time. Yeah. So everybody's offended, even the people that say they don't get offended. And we see the logical absurdity. We see the logical absurdity in their own personalities. And we see our own too, but we never hear anybody tell us something better. Just rarely happens. You know, it's like a curse. It's like you live in a world where you're completely isolated because you feel like you're the only sane person. But then, as the years go by, you realize, dang, I can't be the only sane person. Surely my thinking's off here. I mean, I've lost 35 jobs or been kind of forced out in one way or another. I always leave before I get fired, but you kind of learn to read the tea leaves, right, ahead of time. You start to really know when it's time to go, right? And you think, surely I'm not the only sane person. I must be making a mistake. And people begin to make you doubt. People began to make me think, oh, now, maybe I'm crazy. The rest of the world is sane, but my ability to see things, to see truth, to see reality for what it really is, I must be crazy, because maybe we're supposed to live in a delusion. Maybe we're actually supposed to live where everybody nuances every last thing they say, where everybody has to be really careful about everyone's feelings, where no one means what they say, where you have to constantly beat around the bush all the time. So maybe we're crazy because that's how the world's really supposed to work. Yeah, I'm taking my dog for a walk too. Look. Dog loves to go on walks. He's an old dog. You know, this dog is, gosh, we got him in 06. So he's, what, 14? And he was like a year old or so when we got him. It's an old dog. And he's got arthritis. He just fell on his face a little bit ago. But the good thing is he's only got about 3 or 4 inches to fall. His leg just gave out on him a little bit ago and he just fell on his face. Poor little guy. He's a good dog. You know? And I love this house over here. This is a historic house. There was a fort built here a long time ago. The first fort in Belpre, the first settlers in Belpre. Had a big fort here. It's a beautiful property. My wife won a photography contest. She always tells me every time we walk past this. Back in high school, taking pictures of this house, you know. In her class. I don't blame him. It's beautiful. Belpre means beautiful prairie. So we live in the beautiful prairie. It's French, you know. French settled the Ohio River Basin. So we have St. Louis and New Orleans. Like here you go right here. I'll read the plaque for you. Let's see. That plaque says, south on riverbank stood the stone fort built 1793, enclosing 4 block houses, a school, it's so hard to see, a schoolroom and several cabins, local cabins. Here, Captain Jonathan Stones and 2 other families lived during the remainder of the Indian War. Huh. And this memorial's been up since 1911. Pretty amazing. Yeah, they came here, you know, floating down the river in wagons, whatever. A lot of the settlers this area came down flatboats, you know. They're originally from Massachusetts. But you can't even buy the land that they settled, just like Thomas Jefferson said. I already made that video. It's not today's video. But you can see it's a big property still. The original landowners. You gotta really respect history. You gotta really respect the people that made your country and settled the land. They were smart. They were intelligent. They didn't beat around the bush. You know, they did things that are still right today, but you've been told to doubt your common sense. I mean, of course we're supposed to oppress women to an extent. But you can't even say that. You can't even tell just like the common sense of what I just said. And most of you just take a breath back. What did he say? Did he just say what I think he said? No, common sense. I'm sorry, I agree with George Washington, okay? What, he was an idiot? I know, you've been told to doubt, you know, your history, your understanding. Yeah, there's an extent to where you have to oppress women. Okay? No, they're not second-class citizens. No, their testimony shouldn't be half that of a man in court. No, they shouldn't have to walk 4 feet behind you. Okay? But you understand that it was a grave error to give women the right to vote. A grave error. This is why, in case you haven't put it together yet, this is why, you know, women have sympathy for everybody. They always have sympathy for wrong, sympathy for evil. And now you've elevated that in your household. And this is something the Muslims got right, folks, okay? This is something the Muslims got right. If you let women vote, they destroy your house, okay? They make it so your kids can't respect you. That, you know, they think they rule the roost, okay? There'll be no final authority. There'll be no permanent punishments. There'll be nothing to really, you know, you can't raise your kid without a massive level of disrespect for authority because of what they've learned. And besides that, women love to have sympathy on wrong. You know, you ever punish your kids, and what's your wife do? She didn't really mean it. You shouldn't be so harsh. You know, you're too mean, honey. You need to be nice. Okay, but the kid did wrong. You see, there's a punishment level that has to come into play here, okay? You have to punish wrong. And you can't love and vote for the people that are doing wrong. No, but that's her kid, okay? So she's not going to change. But you know what? It doesn't stop there. You give them political authority. You give them the ability to vote. And now that's why you have gays running your country. You understand that? Because women love gays. Because gays are not attracted to them, okay? The natural order, the right thing says men should want a woman, but a woman doesn't want to be wanted too much. You understand that? So they always seem to just love gays. Oh, ask them. Oh, gays are the nicest people I've ever met. I mean, sure, they're working really hard to get men to be able to go in women's restrooms. You know, they're really supporting the transgender movement, but I love them. They're always so nice because they don't want me too much, you know. They're always the nicest people I know that I work with. They're always gays. Ask any woman, they tell you that. I've heard that so many times. It's always women. And every time I've ever been oppressed at work, it's always been by a woman or a gay. I almost never have trouble with another guy at work. It's really rare. But every woman is just like bent on trying to destroy you. You know, hell bent on trying to make you pay. and not pay for anything you've done at work. No, pay for being a man, you know. Pay because you happen to notice she's pretty, you know. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to harass her. You don't have to be bad towards her or anything. But they just know. They know you're a real man and they hate it, okay? They know you're normal. And that always sets something in them emotionally. They don't even know they're doing it. Because when you're emotionally based, you're not thinking these things through. You're just reacting according to your emotions. So they don't even know that they're doing what they're doing. And I'm going to hear all these comments later, you know, oh, I feel so sorry for your wife and your girls. Well, they're doing all right. But we argue about this topic, okay, obviously. They don't like it. They say, oh, Dad, you think we're second-class citizens? No, I don't think you're second-class citizens. I agree with George Washington, you know. You think George Washington was wrong, okay? You think the founders were wrong. You know, there's a reason, you know, we fought a civil war to give blacks the right to vote, okay? But we did not fight a war to give women the right to vote. Okay, that was the reason for that, okay? Nobody thought that was a good idea. If you were halfway intelligent man, you understood you were bringing in a lot of bad things. You have all these problems with the Democratic Party, with liberals today. It's because you gave women the right to vote. Do you understand that? And they have sympathy on the enemy. People that are doing wrong, they want to love them. They want to forgive everybody that's doing wrong. And by the way, God does not forgive people who are doing wrong automatically. You think he does? Oh. Well, why does heaven have gates on it? You know, the gates are to keep people out. I said that at a city hall meeting. They were trying to get men to be able to go into the women's restroom. Okay, and we all went to City Hall and fought it. We got hundreds and thousands of signatures, you know, of people saying, listen, we don't want this, okay? And we fought it and we won, all right? Persuaded a few of the people there, some of the city council. But we got it on there. But I said in that meeting, I said things nobody else said. It was kind of like, wow, somebody said something really intelligent here. And I could feel the energy in the room. They're like, wow, this guy really knows what he's talking about. And I understood that, you know. But when I said, hey, you want to love these people, but they're here to do harm. They're going to do evil. They're going to do bad to you. They're going to hurt your children. And I said, quit loving them. I said, because they're here to do evil to you. You understand? And I said, heaven has gates and walls. It doesn't just automatically let everybody in. Don't you understand that? In the whole room. What'd he say? So, and I think even half the people on my side didn't understand how powerful that was. It was right. You see, you keep loving your enemies, and they'll destroy you. And I don't mean like in a way that Jesus said to love your enemies and do good to them that despitefully use you and all that. Yeah, do it, okay? Don't forgive them until they've asked for forgiveness and have repented. They've changed their mind. They've gone a different path. You don't just forgive people automatically. God doesn't. Oh, you don't repent, you don't ask forgiveness, and you're just going to walk right into heaven's gate? Is that what you think? Really? God has no justice? There's no justice in the universe? That's how you feel? You see, the Muslims got this right, folks. They don't love their enemy. Okay? Jesus said love your enemy. Yeah, okay. Well, you do good to them. Okay, if their car breaks down, you replace, you help them. Okay? You show them good, maybe they'll want to repent, but don't forgive them. It's not, we get mixed up what Jesus said. We don't forgive them until they're repenting. You fight them. The Muslims are right about that. You fight them, okay? You don't legalize sodomy. You don't legalize women having the right to vote because you've just undercut yourself. And I know it's going to make people mad. If my wife hears this, she's going to be irate. I know, I don't care. Because it's the right view. Society works better that way. You think gays are running Iran right now? No, but they're running your sex crimes division in the FBI right now under the Osbournes. The same people who kidnapped Hugh Squires and killed a bunch of kids. They're running your FBI because of women right now. You understand that? Voting for gays. You don't think that was planned out a long time ago? Well, I have proof to the contrary. The gays were fighting all the way back with the Civil War, trying to come in behind the Civil War movement and the right for blacks to vote. They were feminizing your culture. It goes back to the Civil War. That's why Jefferson Davis was arrested in a dress. I don't think he was just trying to escape like they said. I don't believe that story. Now, you're not going to Google anything different. You're going to Google exactly what I just said. But I think they dressed him up in a dress. Because you understand that slaves had to endure a lot of hardship. The Civil War was about civility, not just about slavery. Okay, so they call it the Civil War. It's about civility. And the South had no civility. That's why you have Harris right now. And if you elect Harris, if you elect that evil witch, while you've been taught to love people that are evil, you are electing the slave traders. Do you understand that Kamala Harris is not black? She's not a descendant of a slave. Her dad wrote a book. In that book, and I showed it in some of my previous videos. Okay? And by the way, I found that book in a link on her Wikipedia page, okay? They put their sources down there. Well, I actually follow the sources. Maybe you should try that sometime. Okay? And I found Kamala Harris' father's book, and right there, I highlighted it for you. So you can't say it's not there. I'm pulling this out of my butt. He said that his relatives are slave traders, his ancestors, right there in Jamaica. They're the people that worked with the Queen. The Queen's trying real hard to bankrupt America, completely take it over. That's what Obama was all about. That's what Harris is all about. Obama was kind of like the 007 for the Queen, He came from Kenya. Well, what's Kenya? Kenya is your British colony. Yeah, he was a foreigner. Yeah, they lied. Yeah, he was a gay and half black. That all goes together. You understand? Now you got somebody that's maybe 1/4 black, because Jamaicans are mixed with Spanish, All right. And the other side is Sri Lanka. Her mother, Kamala Harris' mother. That's she's from Sri Lanka, a little island to the southeast of India. So you have Asian, all right, for one side of her family, and that means she's can connect easily to China. Okay, she's got a little bit of that Asian culture. And right now you have Joe Biden, whose son just made $1.5 billion from China. You want to vote for that witch? You want to vote for the slave trader families that are bankrupting your country? What are they going to do to you if they were so willing? You know what slave traders did? Oh, they humiliated you. They humiliated their slaves. You understand the slaves were more than just physical house workers. They were sex slaves in many, many cases. You understand that, right? That's why the gay movement is running in behind black rights. That's why wherever one goes, the other goes. People can't seem to put it together. This is why Jefferson Davis was probably put in a dress probably by Union soldiers, despite what the official story says, that he was just trying to escape. You understand? They were making a point for all posterity. Booth, John Wilkes Booth. Follow him, and he was not gay, but some of the people he worked with, like Flynn. Now you got Flynn in the White House. That's not a coincidence. All right. Flynn was a slave trader, okay? Or not a slave trader, I'm sorry. He was a gay. Getting my words mixed up. He was a gay. And until you guys stop parsing your words, until you guys stop dancing around eggshells, worrying about offending everybody, and start understanding history for what it really is. Start saying what you really need to say. A lot of beautiful houses on this street. This is one of the reasons I like to walk down here. If I stand in the shade, mosquitoes attack me like crazy. If you're not willing to say what it is, you'll never get... You see, your country's already lost. It's not you have to save it. There's nothing left to save. If we're going to get what was America back, it needs a radical revolution. Okay? We have to remake it. It's gone. All of you are gone. See, I used to think maybe I was the crazy person. And I started, the more I researched, the more I learned, I realized, no, I'm just the only person paying attention. I'm sorry. You know? Doesn't mean it has to be that way. But no, I've tried really, really, really hard to understand things. And I realize the rest of the world really is nuts. The more I see somebody like Hugh Squire that actually knows real history, that lived it, and I see what they do to him. And I see how the CIA and the FBI and the pedophiles that took over your country, how it goes all the way back to the Civil War. And I see what they're doing to him. I realize, no, I'm not crazy. I was right. I was right. The rest of the world's nuts. The rest of the world can't come out and just tell you, don't vote for gays, they're evil. Don't allow women the right to vote because they'll vote for gays. You understand that? Obviously, you can't have gay pride parades down your street where they just celebrate indecency. Now, I'm not out for going around and just arresting people for what they do in their homes. But certain acts are intolerable. You don't have heterosexual sex parades. You don't need a bunch of gays having their parades in the street either. All right? You don't need to celebrate what they do in the bedroom. And none of you stand up and say, listen, I've had enough. No, this is where it stops. This is where we go all the way back and we revolve, revolution, we revolve back to where we started. There's no way in hell that George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, you know, even Hamilton that wanted this Federal Reserve System, even he. None of those guys. None of the other founders. Mason. Who's the guy that started the Sunday schools? I can't think of his name all of a sudden. Witherspoon. What was the other guy? Cotton. All these guys, you know, the reverends that were all there in the Constitutional Convention. Not a one of them. A whole lot of them. They put it in the Constitution to try to set your slaves free, because they knew instinctively that was part of overthrowing England. Okay, at the time. All right, they knew they had to get rid of the Queen's slaves. And so they put that in the Constitution to start slowly giving slaves rights, knowing it would lead probably either to war or emancipation. But not in their wildest dreams. Not in their worst nightmares would any of them have ever wanted a woman to vote. You understand that? Okay, I'm just a bigot. Yeah, okay. Yeah, just a chauvinist. Okay, Okay, well, I agree with all my founders, the people that started my country. Who do you agree with? Karl Marx? Not a one of those people would have dreamt that gays should be allowed to parade in the street like they do. Not a one of them. You see, Muslims got that right. And you're going to regret going over there and attacking them. You're going to regret killing your own president, covering it up with 9/11, and not a one of you will expose the pedophiles. Then Hugh right there points them out by name. Okay? You're going to regret that and covering it up by staging 9/11 and going over and killing millions of innocent Muslims. You're going to regret that. You understand that? Because they're more right than you are when it comes to some of these things. Doesn't mean I love their culture. Doesn't mean I agree with everything they do or say. But we attacked them. You understand that? And none of our founders would have approved. Not a one of them. Shame on America. Shame on what you guys support. And I'm not just talking about the people in the comments or whatever. I'm just talking to whoever. Big sweeping generality here. This is what our country should have been like. We should have kept our dignity. Told people no. No, you're not going to do that. Go back home. Go home, woman. No. No, you don't need the right to vote. Every salesman knows that when he comes to the door, he wants a woman to answer the door. Women love you, okay, automatically. Okay, they feel sympathy for you in your calls. I don't care if your calls is what I did, selling them newspapers. They feel sympathy, okay? They love you. Automatically. You're there to get their money, but they love you, okay? They're going to see past that. They hate it when a man comes to the door. Every salesman knows that. You don't think the gays know that? Yeah, they know. There's a house my wife used to live in, or not my wife, but my wife's grandma. She tells me that every time we walk down here. I love that house. My grandma used to live there. Such beautiful houses down here by the river. You think I'm angry? You think I'm mad? I'm not angry. I'm not mad. The rest of the world's insane. Right? And you're afraid to say it. You're afraid to even agree with me in the comments. That's how cucked you are. And my wife gets mad at me. Well, why don't, to have a relationship with me, shouldn't you change some of your views? No. No, I shouldn't. No, you should. Because I'm right. And I want a relationship with you, but no, I'm not going to change my views and do what's wrong. I'm not going to have sympathy on my enemies, no. When my kids do bad, I'm going to punish them. And you're not going to like it, and I'm bigger than you for a reason. God made me bigger than you. Do you understand that? Am I clear? And it's had, and any man who puts up or desires to defend his own family and defend his own dignity and try to raise his kids right will have to overcome his wife. But nobody and it's just, that's normal. You don't blame him for that. My wife's not obnoxious or different or strange or any, no, she's a female, okay? That's what females do. Okay? If you don't like that, go marry a dude. That's how it works. That's the reality. And if you want to have order in your home, you'll have to punish your children the way you see fit, and you'll have to put your wife in her place when she opposes you. That's just what every man has to do, but you've been taught you can't do that. A lot of conservatives still, you won't in 20 years, but you still say, well, despite what the liberals say, we have to spank our kids. And congratulations, you're right. 20 years you won't be saying that, because 20 years ago or 50 years ago, every man knew you had to put her wife in her place in order to bring order in your home. I'm not saying anything that hasn't been known for the last 6,000 years. It's your fault if you don't know it. There's nothing wrong with my wife. I love my wife. She's a good woman. Very good woman, but she's a woman. That's how it works. Okay? Sometimes it comes down to, no, I'm bigger than you, and I've had to say, God made me bigger than you for a reason. This is what we're going to do. And I'm sorry if you don't approve, you don't like it. This is what we're going to do. And you can oppose me, but you'll have to push me out of the way physically, and you can't do that. You know, and you stand your ground. You never hit a woman, never. If you do that, then you're, you know, anybody that does that should be in jail. You don't hit a woman, you stand up to her. You don't let her run the house. All right? And if they don't like it and they want to leave, you have to be willing to put it on the line and be like, all right, you know, listen, I'm doing what I say is right. You don't like it, leave. I don't want you to. But you have to be willing and tell her, I don't want you to leave. But if that's, you know, if that's what it has to be, then, okay, bye. And don't even look back and don't chase her. Don't be a freaking cuck. Good night. Here I am walking in the Shriner's property. Oh boy, you don't let these guys around your kids. I know they came from Freemasons, but they're so crazy that even the Freemasons don't claim them. And you don't believe me, look up the Billiken, okay? A Billiken's like a little sex statue. I mean, their motto is mirth is king, okay? That's these guys, okay? Notice how they overlook the soccer field where all the kids play? Up in Marietta, it overlooks the pool. Gee, I wonder why. Why they all get together with their leaders. The jesters are in charge of the Shriners. They're like the upper branch, and they get together and have these big homosexual orgies and take over hotels and stuff. Yeah, that's these guys. Yeah, I know. Yeah, they support kids at the hospitals with, you know, less than 1% of the money they take in. But, you know, that's their game. So if you don't know what's going on, well, I'm sorry. Just look up the Billiken, Billiken. Look up mirth is king. That's these guys. Don't let these guys near your kids, okay? I understand if you have to go to the hospital, but you stay by their side. You know? Don't let them around your kids. And that's the way you got to be in this world. You got to stand up. You can't have sympathy on them. One of my cousins got mad at me because I said, well, I just told her what I just told you about these guys. She hasn't talked to me since. She was bringing money, or bringing donations to them. I just told her what they do, who they really are. She hasn't talked to me since. I don't care. See, this is one of those situations where women are loving their enemies. You understand? Why they got a sword and a crescent moon and a 5-pointed star? I know why. Go check out my last video. But they've corrupted that symbol. All right, check out my last video on what these symbols mean. I guess they're getting ready for a meeting now or something. I better get out of here. Gotta keep you safe, buddy. I don't know what they might do to you. Getting out of here. Belpre Shrine Club. You know, look, I'm for real symbols. I know the symbols. Look at my last video if you don't believe me. I wrote a book about symbols, okay? They're using it wrong. Period. Okay, they're perverts. That's all they are. And that doesn't mean that the Freemasons are perverts. No, they're not. The Freemasons are actually honorable, decent people, by and large. And if they find out that you're not, they'll kick you out. Not these guys. They'll invite you to their party. It's different. I'm sorry if you don't know these things, okay? This is what being an INTJ does. You start reading dictionaries and encyclopedias when you first learn to read. That's the first thing you read. You pick up an encyclopedia, okay? Before the internet. All right, now, if I grew up today, all I would do was just probably watch YouTube and read tons and tons and tons of things. My kid does that, okay? One of my kids. That's all she does. She just wants to constantly learn stuff, but only on her fixations. We INTJs, we fixate on something. It might be years. Might know everything about one thing. Got that one kid that just knows everything about dinosaurs or the planets, you know, but can barely tie his shoelace. For him, he's probably Asperger's at the very least. He's going to have an introverted personality. All right. You're going to have to help him develop new interests, and I'm not very good at that because as an INTJ myself, I've developed my own individual interests that are highly specialized. Okay, so we internalize everything. We only believe something if we prove it to ourselves. There you go. You get that poll, buddy. I mean, it's only like the 27th poll you peed on. I'm sure you have plenty left in you. So we internalize. We prove to ourselves everything. Everything. So if somebody has told us something about ourselves, we've probably already thought of it, by and large. Okay? These nice houses down here, apartments and things. When you've been like to been the guy that built these things will always be full. Even though they're on the river, they get flooded once in a while. You got to pay massive flood insurance to live here. All right? But they'll always be full because it's such a pretty spot, When you like to been the guy that built these things, the land developer, I know I would. Gosh, I mean, and listen, women are not second-class citizens. They're not dumb. All right, but they're built differently. And it's time to quit pretending otherwise. I had a cousin who was real smart, taught me to use Robinhood. All right? I appreciate that, because I didn't know how to invest. I didn't want to factor in all the commissions and avoiding it. And I didn't know Robinhood was free. You don't pay anything. Now it's real easy to invest. Women are smart, okay. They can be professionals. But they shouldn't vote. They're different than you. You understand that they're gonna support your enemies. They're gonna vote for gays. And all the cucks that can't stand up to them because they'll lose their house or whatever, or they're just looking for some vagina. What are they gonna do? Oh, they're gonna follow suit. They're gonna vote for the gays too, aren't they? Well, I just agree with Thomas Jefferson, with Witherspoon, with Mason, with Washington and Jefferson. Okay, I agree with those guys. I agree with the people that fought for your country and settled this land, that wrote the world's greatest document, the Constitution of the United States. I agree with them. Not the people that, in fact, the 9/11 was already being planned as far back as 1953. And Dell Towers. Oh, you have a Dell Tower on your computer? Is that your Dell Tower? When Dell Towers on Kodak film took Hugh's baby pictures on 9/11, 1953, Kodak was elevated 2 weeks ago by President Trump. Kodak, that was located in Greenville, Tennessee, where two of Hugh's wives were murdered. Former wives. Today the stock drops after it went up to 53. It drops back down to 8. You understand what would have happened if I'd have bought options? Today I was looking at it, I'm like, oh man, Kodak stock is going to soar. But Hugh, who, you guys blame the victim. You blame the victim for what the pedophiles do because you love your enemy. Because somebody's twisted your brain. You understand? Because you've been voting, because you've had women voters for too long. And you've voted, you love your enemy, so now you support those gays and you blame the victim. But he was the victim of the pedophilia. He stopped me from buying options and stock in Kodak. I could have made $100,000 a couple weeks ago. You understand that? So I want to remind anybody that thinks that Hugh is he's the bad guy because your mind's been corrupted by the gays. Yeah, you don't know it. You haven't met, you don't know a gay's influencing your mind or whatever. It's not the way it works. They've just had a slow and steady influence on the culture and you have bought into it. You don't think you have, okay, because you have one standard, but you don't understand your standards have fallen, 90 degrees or 120 degrees. You're almost exactly the opposite of what we were 200 years ago. You understand? But you think you're conservative because, you're 98% liberal compared to 200 years ago. But you don't understand what they've done to you. You don't understand how cucked you are. You don't understand how the women and the gays have completely influenced you and caused you to think the things you think. You think it's you thinking it. You know, almost nobody's had an original thought, folks. Original thoughts are incredibly rare. Incredible. You know, it's original thoughts almost never happen. Everybody's thinking something that they've seen or heard before. All right, I guess we better start walking back. So, you're not, it's not you thinking these things. It's your culture. If you were born into a headhunter culture, you'd be a headhunter. And that's not my original thought either. I'm telling you right now, something somebody else said. Foundation of Human Understanding. Go check that out sometime. All right. Roy Masters, great guy. He'll tell you how to stand up against the gay influence and the abuse of women. All right. And that doesn't mean I don't have a long way to go. I do. Doesn't mean I don't understand that I'm incredibly flawed. I am. And no one understands it better than me. Because rarely do I ever hear anybody tell me something that I haven't already thought of on how to fix myself. Doesn't mean I know how to implement it or that I'm very good at implementing it. And change for an INTJ has to come very slowly. We have to prove to ourselves that that's right, even if we suspect it is. But that's how it is. So our change and our development comes so much slower, our social development. I feel like only in the last 5 years socially have I ever reached the level that all my peers were in about the 6th grade. Maybe younger than that. My ability to get along with other people and socialize is still extremely stunted. But I don't care, because I care more about the deeper, bigger truths. And so I focused on that my entire life. And only recently, only in the last few years have I even realized. I mean, I was 30 before I realized, hey, I should probably try to match my clothes. Okay, you understand? I was about 32, 42 now. Maybe that's important. I didn't care before. I didn't care if my clothes fit perfectly. If I could get it for $1 at a yard sale instead of paying $20 at Kroger or Kmart, or what I mean. That's what I did. Okay? Social meant nothing to me. Zero, zip, zilch. So I understand all the things my wife and kids have had to go through to have to put up with me. I get it more than they do. They start to tell me their problems. I analyze it for them and lay it out for them on a silver platter and tell you this is all the problems I have, okay? You don't think I don't know. I do. I just don't know how to fix them. All right. So INTJs are always focused internally, so that's where I live, is internally, inside myself, inside my own head. So yeah, I've been there. I've met it. Oh boy. Wouldn't you like to know what's on that big barge over there? I don't know if you can see it. That is really interesting. Just this, look at that. Try to expand it a little. Barge going down the river. Yeah. These things are huge. So, we're not going to get America back, because 99% of you, probably 100% of you, can hear what I say, and I don't know, maybe it takes the next step of evolution. It takes, and I don't believe in evolution. I'm just using the phrase, okay? But you know what they say, INTJs and Asperger's are the next step of evolution. You know, they say that. I don't believe in evolution, but maybe it's going to take people like that. I know it's going to take people like you. There's people that are 1,000 times smarter than me, like you. You know, but I can recognize that. The people that are smart nowadays, they just seem crazy to everybody else. And I'm a fraction of the intellect that Hugh has, okay? But I resonate at that same frequency, and I recognize the intelligence, all right? But most of you think I'm crazy. So I know you think he's crazy, but he's the only sane person I know. Like literally the only sane person that I know. Right? And he's definitely not cooked. He'll stand up to a woman, okay, if he needs to. Stand up to the pedophiles. You know, he gets death threats every day. He stands up and he tells the truth. And he gets death threats from Joe Biden, for heaven's sakes. Yeah, Joe Biden gives the man death threats and he stands up. You know, they've tried to kill him, I don't know, up to 10 times. They just keep failing. They freaking hit him on the head with a hammer and left him for dead. He's still telling the truth. A sledgehammer, okay? He showed me the scar on his head. He ain't making it up. In the same year, you got MC Hammer marking it. You understand? That's how crazy this world is. If anybody's smart, they try to kill you. So, are you resonating at the same frequency? Can you even tell that I'm not crazy? Can you even tell that I'm actually the one telling the truth? That everybody around you is freaking nuts? If you can tell that, there might be hope for America. If not, there's no hope. Because it's people like you who were the founders of your country. He's related to the founders. His uncle was Admiral Byrd. His great-great-uncle was Albert Pike. And you get all these people, and his great-great-great-great, however many greats back, was Thomas Jefferson, okay? All these people were related to each other. These are the people who founded your country. All right, the people that really understand history. But you think they're crazy. Today, you think they're crazy. You've bought the Alex Jones lie. All right. Are you worn out, buddy? Your arthritis is getting you, isn't it? I understand. That's a long walk we're on, aren't we? But I better get back, though, or I'm going to be late for work. So we better hightail it, buddy, even if I have to carry you. He's like, I'm cool with that. I like the tall grass. It's shady. Down here a little bit. Grass is cool. Even though I got the sun on me. I don't think he understands the concept. Go rest under a tree or something. Yeah, you're worn out, aren't you, boy? That's what happens when you get an old dog. He's, you know, at least 14. Probably 15. All right, buddy, I'm going to carry you. Come on, let's see if you can walk. Okay, you're going to go. All right. I've had to carry him home more than once. He doesn't always make the trip. His arthritis is pretty bad, but you know what the vet told us? He was bleeding out his rear. We thought he was going to die here a couple months ago. And they said, get rid of the dog food. You can't have any more buns, no more bones, not buns. Bones. You can't have any more bones. You can't have any popcorn because it tears you up on the inside. And then I started giving him filtered water to drink. He says, instead of dog food, cook rice. And this is a lot cheaper than dog food. Man, so this is a bonus, okay? We give him rice, and I fix enough to last him a whole week at one time. About 2 cups of rice, 4 cups of water, and a can of carrots, and a chicken quarter, you know, a leg and a thigh. I usually just stick the leg and thigh in the microwave for like 5 minutes, straight out of the freezer. Shred it up, put it in there, it lasts him a week. Man, is he perked up, you know? That dog food's why all these dogs have cancer, folks. I mean, imagine, you know how they say that if you eat sausage and hot dogs more than twice a week, you'll get stomach cancer, or the percentage likelihood of you getting stomach cancer goes way up. Processed meat. What do you think dog food is? And you give it to them every day. For heaven's sakes, you stick that stuff outside, it'll still be there 3 months later if nothing eats it. You understand? You know, maybe they're 6 months later. And you wonder why all the dogs have cancer and arthritis. Well, kind of dawned on me, he's got arthritis now. But, you know, dogs barely make it to 12 years old. They should make it to, 15 or 20. But big dogs especially, they eat a lot of that processed crap dog food that we give them. This dog just gets rice and carrots now, and chicken. That's a lot cheaper. Yeah, you have to take the 20 minutes to boil the rice, okay? And the chicken can cook in the microwave while the rice is boiling, but it's worth it. It's worth it. Makes a big difference. But I don't know. I keep changing topics. So many things on my mind, you know. Yesterday I couldn't couldn't think on one thing. My brain just sometimes I think about so many things. It's another problem with INTJs. Okay. Think about some things. Sometimes our thoughts literally lock up. And our brain won't function. It just can't get any thoughts through at all. It's like it just locks up. And when it does, I don't know what to do. It's the weirdest feeling in the world. I don't understand it. I don't really know what causes it. Maybe it's just me. I don't even know if it's every INTJ. I don't know. My thoughts just lock. And like I can't hardly, like it hurts literally just to try to think. Because that's all we do all day. Just think about crap. I don't have anybody to talk to. Who's going to sit down? You know, that's why I got to make videos. Who's going to sit down and talk to me about this? I only have one person. That's you. And I just met him last year. Here I'm 42 years old. You know, 42 years old before I could find somebody that was, I could have a conversation with that made sense to me. Took that long. You know, we live in a world where everybody's crazy. Nobody says anything that makes any sense. Doesn't mean they're not professionals. Doesn't mean I can't trust their... I go to doctors, and you have to take everything they say with a grain of salt, but try telling a woman that. You can't. I just had to take my kid to the doctor today. We just went. Was she sick? No. But my wife made her an appointment. Oh, she needs an annual checkup. Why? She's perfectly healthy. She doesn't have glasses. Her hearing's great. She has no stomach problems. Absolutely no pain. Kid's in perfect condition, but I have to take her to the doctor. You see, that's... You know, I've taken my girls and wife to the doctor more times in a month than I've gone in my entire life, you know? and I can't tell you the number of times we've gone to the doctor and the doctor's like, yep, nothing's wrong, you can go. And, you know, of course I told him that before we left, you know. You get there and I say, well, I don't know why we're here. My wife said that there's something wrong. Check her out. You know, and sure enough, doctor said, nothing wrong with you. You know, that's happened, gosh, more times than I can care to count. That's one of the crazy things that women do, okay? They overlove, they overcompensate. They don't listen to reason most of the time. You know, you're going to logic with a woman why they shouldn't vote for gays. Good luck. Have fun with that. I'm going to cross the street, okay? Your country's finished. It's finished unless you undo the right for women to vote. Not because they're dumb. No, they're not dumb. They're smart. Not because they can't be professionals. No, they compliment you in certain ways, but they can't do everything you do. It's not supposed to be that way. God didn't put two suns in the sky. He put a sun and a moon. The Old Testament represents the sun. The New Testament represents the moon. Jesus represents the moon. The healing qualities of grace, forgiveness, and love. There's a balance. Half daytime, half nighttime. That's the way it's supposed to be. God made that. I'm not questioning God. I don't think God's dumb or stupid for making men and women. No, women have a role, but they're not supposed to be out in the daytime. They're supposed to be out at nighttime. You know, and vice versa. You have different roles, different responsibilities in life. Nothing I say here is intended as any sort of an insult, even though all the reason that I've given you, it's not going to matter, because the women aren't going to reason their way through what I said. They're going to emote and feel. They're going to feel the tension in my voice. They're going to, if I was pointing it at my face, and this is why I don't point the camera at my face, why I go for a walk and I point at all the pretty things around. So otherwise the women would just judge my face. None of the men would. But I have to argue with my wife and kids all day long. They say, it's not what you said, it's how you said it. Okay. Well, so I said, here, this is what we're going to do, Becca. I said, I'm going to tell you what I mean to say, and you're going to use your voice, and you're going to use the same words, and you're going to go tell it to the kids. So now they can't use that. Can't use that excuse anymore. And I have to do that sometimes. I have to, here's the words. Go tell the kids, because they're girls, you know. If they were boys, I wouldn't have to do that. You know, if I tell a boy to go to his room, he says no, I swat him once and he realizes I'm bigger than him and he goes to his room. Girls don't work that way. If they don't feel good about going to their room, if they don't like the sound of your voice, they're going to argue with you till the sun goes down. You understand? We're not the same. We're not supposed to be the same. You know, boys understand force. Okay, that's a type of reason, a type of logic. Women don't care. There's no logic there. Okay, you're twice as big as me. You can knock me on my rear end at any time. Doesn't matter. I'm going to argue because I don't like the way I feel and I can't stop myself. It's complete insanity, you know? And women wonder why they get abused, you know? I mean, there's no excuse for abuse. You should never, ever hit a woman for any reason, ever. All right. But you do have to stand up to them and not be afraid of them. Big difference. You put them in their place when you need to, okay? And that shouldn't be an everyday thing. That should be when you need to. However often that is, every woman's different. But no, you hit somebody, you should go to jail, period. Yeah, you don't hit women, period. You don't hit people that are weaker than you. All right? Gosh, you remember in our culture, it used to be a thing. You don't hit a guy with glasses. Yeah, because they're supposed to be at a disadvantage, you know? You fight your equals, okay? You know. Now, if someone who is not as strong as you tries to stand up to you, you become a door. You become better than a door. You become a wall. You become immobile. You say, this is where I stand. Can you force your way past me? Because if not, this is not what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. You understand? And that's the role of being a man. And the world doesn't like that. They give women the right to vote. Now they'll undercut you forever. They'll say, all right, well, I'll get a divorce. And that's when you say, all right, bye. But this is what we're going to do. Until you get that divorce, this is what we're going to do. And you don't be mean about it. You just say, listen, this is what I believe sincerely with all my heart. Feel free to voice your complaint. Let's talk about it. All right. I'll give you all the time in the world. If you want to tell me why I'm wrong, we'll go on a date. You can sit down and tell me for 3 hours why I'm wrong, and I'll even make a nice date for you and just let you talk. That's okay. But when I made my decision, this is my decision. This is what we're going to do. If you don't like it, okay, bye. I want you to leave. No, I'm telling you right now, I do not want you to leave. But, you know, if that's your decision, then bye. And you don't look back, and you don't feel sad, and you don't chase them. Because there's no point in reasoning with insanity. Okay? God made you bigger than them for a reason. And the world, this craziness that we all live in, this world where 50% of Americans are all too happy to vote for a slave trader and pretend like she's black, pretend like she's the victim when she's still in the Harris name of the famous family of our founders, okay, and our inventors. Did you know Ford wasn't his first name? His first name was King. Yeah, President Ford was born with the name King, like Martin Luther King, right? Uh-huh. Yeah, but then he got adopted, and he took the adopted name Ford. Well, why do you think he used that name? Yeah, Ford, okay. Ford's Theater, Henry Ford. Harris is doing the same thing. They use those names to their advantage, okay? These things are not coincidence. This is how the world works. They borrow from the popularity of more powerful people, and they use that to become more powerful and popular themselves. And they kill people. All right, so you want free advertising for your product, you go kill somebody with that name, and you got instant free publication in the news media. Johnson was murdered today. The same day Johnson & Johnson comes out with a new product, you know, Johnson's, you know, baby formula, but now you hear the name Johnson all over the place. And they really do that. And they don't do it every once in a while. I'm not making this up. No, we could provide you, Hugh can and has provided you hundreds and hundreds, thousands at this point. He's been doing this for years, thousands of examples of that. I've traced some that's happened right here in my own town, okay? Parkersburg side across the river. That's the real world. The real world works on murder and on power. That's why they want you to be powerless and weak, to be cucked. That's what they want. You know? And then you'll think that the Muslims attacked you. You can't reason your way through it. You don't understand your own country's that bad. Oh, I can't see it. No, you can't see it. You're cucked. I mean, you know. You can't see your wife's manipulating you. Of course you can't see that. You know. You can't understand that the giving women the right to vote's what led to the gays running your country. You know. That the Muslims are actually more pure than you are right now. Okay? Not in every single thing they do, no. Yeah, can I find fault in Islam? Sure. Lots of it. Okay? I'm not pro-Muslim here, but, you know, Muslims did not do 9/11. We attacked them and used it to cover up, and we killed millions innocently over there. You're gonna pay the price for that, America. You can't do that and get away with it forever. You believe in justice? You believe in God? Well, you better go after the people that did 9/11, okay? Bush, Osborne, Mills. You better find those names and better figure out what they mean. Anders and Andrews, Hall, Long, Wallace. You better find those names and you better punish them. You better explain to the world what you did. You better pray to God that they forgive you. They're not going to, though. So you better prepare for some repercussion, because they know. They already know. Look, the premier of Qatar, I think it was Qatar. Maybe it was Kuwait. No, Kuwait. The premier of Kuwait bought Hugh a radio station, and a TV station rather, and said, listen, I'll pay your way here. You can broadcast your truth as much as you want at our expense. See, the Muslims already know what's going on. They know what happened on 9/11. They know what you did to them, America. You better get your crap straight. You better start going after the people that did it, that killed your president, killed Kennedy. They're the same people. They're from Detroit. They're pedophiles. They're running your media. They're running your FBI sex crimes division right now. You better stop them. You better wake up and quit believing the CIA's people like Alex Jones, like QAnon. You know, he was interviewed by a CIA agent, and the next day QAnon came out. Okay, that's not a coincidence. Interviewed for 3 hours. You know, the guy says he's a CIA agent. You know, we're not guessing on that one. He says he's a former CIA agent. I don't think he's former. I think they say they're former. Okay. And the proof is vast. Don't believe it. We'll show you the vast. But the world is insane. Like this right here. In Michigan, when I went to Michigan, my stepdad, he taught me how to make a pump. It has no electric parts. It'll pump water as long as you have a 4-foot drop. It'll pump water up to 300 feet in the air. We have a river right there. You can water all of his crops for free. But instead, the powerful, the hungry, the manipulators, they own the resources. You understand? So this guy has to pay for his water. The world's insane. All right? It's crazy. Your inventors, the good people that made your country, you're going to have to go back to what they believed if you want it back again. And it's going to have to be a revolution. You're going to have to stand up to your women. You're going to have to stand up to gays. You're going to have to quit loving them and forgiving them. Don't forgive them. They're not repentant. God doesn't forgive them. Neither should you. Bye.